So, as you can see, I'm back home. I had a little break. Okay, so now we're back to the usual set where it's filled with Blue Beetle instead of the set that's filled with Fantastic Four. Except Wyatt's still back there. Best $560 I ever spent. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Last Week in Comics, where we talk about the last week in comics. I am going to put a disclaimer at the beginning. I will talk about the New York City Comic Con news at the end of the episode like I normally do, except for a couple ones that are related to books that are currently releasing right now. However, I am filming this on Saturday at 4 p.m. There's still another roughly 3 or 4 hours to the con itself, and luckily for me, I know that all the comic news happens on Friday and early Saturday, so hopefully I have everything, but I'm also not going to talk about every single release that happened, mostly the big ones that were kind of unexpected, and maybe a couple of the things I don't want to say for solicits, when we get time to, when they show up in solicits, that is. Let's get into the big release of this week. We have our first issue of DC KO. And I understand what they're trying to do with this event. It's another one of those crises, but we can't call it a crisis because we did a final crisis. We can't keep doing crises if we labeled a book Final Crisis. But this one, I feel like it's a lot to try and put into 6 books. I feel like a lot of modern event comics, they focus too much on like trying to have a tie-in everywhere, but most of the tie-ins are meaningless because they're like, oh, we're not going to expect everyone to read it, we're not fucking doing Civil War 2 or whatever. But like, I feel like if you're gonna do that, just release it as one trade. Because, dear God, this first issue does not set me up to be wanting more of this event. It actually set me up to think, like, oh God, this is going to be a clusterfuck again. And then the New York Comic Con news just cemented the fact that it's going to be a clusterfuck. So let's get into it. A lot of people were talking about the initial panels where they seem to kind of disrespect Bruce's adopted kids, Kal-El's adopted kids, Wonder Woman's entire, like, Amazon family, in one single move. That is all to just prelude them getting all massacred by Darkseid, which is being prevented by Booster Gold, and this weird Darkseid looking guy who can time travel, like, coming in and being like, oh, it's fucking Doomsday? I fucking hate Doomsday.
He's called Time Traveler, but he was originally Doomsday?
Yeah, no, he looks like fucking Doomsday. I just couldn't fucking remember what he looked like. I have a strong hatred of Doomsday, and it may or may not be because I saw Batman v Superman in theaters when it released. Like, I think that's my personal beef with Doomsday. Because I like the death of Superman. I like the books, like, leading up to it. I just fucking hate Doomsday. So it sucks that he's in this event. He's in this event. We do not mention any, like, shit that he has to do with Booster Gold. Despite the fact...
No. They're very highly involved. Don't worry.
They are?
They're besties now.
Okay, yeah, but, like, that's weird Darkseid, like, magic. There's so much information in this book, and I've been distracted because I have, like, school stuff going on and coming home and, like, 500 tests. It's awful right now for me. But yeah, so they're coming in, they're telling them how to get to the sort of, I'm just gonna call it the DCKO planet, or DC's version of Battleworld. That's what it feels like. It's DC's version of Battleworld. Personally, as someone who has read the entirety of Secret Wars, and Secret Wars 2, why the fuck are we doing those books? Why the fuck are we trying to do the same sort of idea of, like, let's take a bunch of heroes and villains and place them on a planet and you guys gotta, like, fight. Except this one's more tournament style, calling back to manga and anime. The Battleworld was... I only read Secret Wars 2 because Wyatt was in it for, like, a page. So, essentially, this book is round 0, and I'm saying round 0 in quotes because we don't see the actual tournament start yet, but we do get the killing of many other heroes who were also transported to fake Battle World, including Jaime Reyes. They have yet again come onto my turf and shit on my lawn. And for what? For what? I don't... And, like, oh, God. Because, like, also the other big thing is Batman dies. Batman gets, like... Then they're like, uh-oh, now the villains are here. The Joker's gonna be in the bracket, which means that, like, even if you were just paying attention to the solicits... Like, if you were paying attention to the solicits, the, round 2 solicits have already been released, and it did say Jason Todd was going to fight someone from their past. Or, you know what? Jason Todd's non-binary now. Fuck you, DC. But Jason Todd's now fighting someone from their past, and so seeing the Joker and Star Sapphire in a round, I'm already mad. I feel like the comics community has so many power scalers, and more importantly, so many power scalers that are wrong, that, like, this event's gonna be a fucking clusterfuck. It's really only screwing over female heroes, as we've seen from, like, just to tell you, spoilers, for, the later issues, but, like, as we've seen from the variants that they keep on putting out, the first round 1, takes out literally every single female hero that's on that list, except for Wonder Woman, Zatanna, and Harley Quinn. And Zatanna and Harley Quinn are fighting in round 2. So, like, we're down to, like, 2 women. And no people of color. Because I think Connor gets taken out first round, Vixen gets taken out first round, Black Lightning gets taken out first round. Again, I feel like this event, when you're doing a tournament style and you're trying to also make it a plot-intensive book, you're doing too much. You either you do your power scaling tournament, or you do your big event comic and probably do just a rip-off of Secret Wars. Like, a true rip-off of Secret Wars. Oh, I didn't even get into, like, the actual shit I had wrong. Okay. There's more plot that happens in this book. Basically, Darkseid does his own challengers, which are the Trinity from the Absolute Universe. So that's fun, at least. At least we're getting some crossover between the two of them. Depending on your opinion, this seems like they're either trying to avoid another Crisis event, or they're doing a fucking other Crisis event. And I'm not even sure which one it is right now. So, we might do a Crisis. We might blow up the Earth again. Woo! Who knows? I have only brought this book because of AEW doing covers for it, where it has, like, Adam Page fighting Lobo, and, like, Tony Storm fighting Power Girl. That's the only reason I fucking even own this book. Maybe I got the first issue because Booster Gold bullshit. And then the other big news, the other big thing that happened at the end is Booster Gold has now been kind of like the mind weird stuff with Darkseid, similar to what happened with Maxwell Lord. I feel like if we're not building up to something with Maxwell Lord over in New Gods and Booster Gold here, I like my old man Toxic Yowie, okay? I don't even think that they're that old. They're like 30-something, but like 35. I like my Booster Gold and Maxwell Lord, Toxic Yowie, and if we're going this entire event not getting it, then what's the fucking point of Booster Gold being here? We have evil time travelers, Timu Cable.
He's not evil!
Wait, all the evil time travelers are Nazis?
Yeah.
How the fuck does that happen? Anyway, go read Time Masters 1990. Stack said to me in the car, if this event does not end with Rip Hunter and or Ted Cord going up to Booster and being like, this isn't you! This isn't who you are! Then, like, again, what's the point? I feel like this event has been, like constantly DC saying that, like, oh, we're gonna put Booster Gold in things, we're gonna have Booster Gold be important, and then not delivering. Except for his fucking Omega energy. What else do I have to say? Oh, fuck! Fuck, I forgot about the big... So, DCKO also got a big announcement at New York Comic Con called, we're gonna throw a bunch of indie books in this bitch. With an asterisk, because Sub-Zero's there. I don't think Mortal Kombat has a current comic. But, so we have the main character from Beneath the Trees, where nobody sees. So, Turns out I was right for promoting that book for us on this show. Apparently it's required reading now. So we got Sam from that. We got Vampirella. We got Red Sonja. We got Sub-Zero. We got Homelander. Which, like, if, even with, like, I did read part of Garth Ennis's The Boys, just to see what the fuck that was about. Even with that, I feel like there's so many better options than fucking Homelander. Justice for Starlight. I love my girl I love my girl down. Oh yeah, fucking Annabeth. Like that little creepy little doll thing from that horror movie. Also not a comic.
You mean Annabelle?
Annabelle. I don't watch horror films. I like my horror, like Animal Crossing, with murder. Go read Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Go fucking read it. Anyway, after that very long rant about DCKO, I don't think it's gonna end well. I feel like a lot of people miss the fact that the first issue is supposed to want you to read more, and for me to instantly go, I don't want to hear any more about this event, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign in this current age of comics. Now, will this still release in full and then be put on trade? Of course it will. That's how comics are done now, apparently. Maybe it's gonna be good when it's finally all complete, but like this first issue's not selling me. Anyway, we're gonna go look at books that I have read, but some books I have read, some books I have not read, but mostly stuff I have very little opinions on. First on my list of books I actually did read and heard a lot about, Supergirl issue 6. I did read this one. I think that it was a fun, like, Halloween story. I liked how much it dealt with Kara's past and, like, kind of all of the horrors. My favorite part of any piece of media is when you go over how many horrors the character has endured. So this issue was a lot of fun for me specifically. I don't know. I feel like with, like, the rest of Supergirl, we have been kind of, like, kind of building up to some stuff, but this just kind of felt like a really cool one-shot issue, and I fucking love the Supergirl ongoing. I hope that this book never fucking ends, but unfortunately, every single DC fan is weird about women. Especially trans women. I'm still not over what happened with Red Hood #1. I don't even fuck with Red Hood like that, but like, come on guys. Next up, okay, so I have been hearing a lot about this one, Absolute Batman #13, which also with this, I'm going to make the announcement as well. So this issue is all about Catwoman, which is a good issue to premiere the same week that at NYCC, they announced that they're doing an Absolute Catwoman mini. It is being given to a black author. I have so many fucking things, because also, like, at the DC x AEW panel, Darby Allin fucking jumped Jon Moxley. So, like, a lot of things are saved on my fucking phone. Okay, so, the new Absolute Catwoman mini, it's gonna be 6 issues. It starts in 2026. It is written by, Che Grayson. Scott Snyder's also working on it. And the last one just says Bengal. I don't know, I haven't been keeping up with Absolute Batman like that. There is a panel in this issue, I almost forgot about it, but there's a panel in this issue where Catwoman shoots a bunch of kids, saying that she hates kids, and Bruce is shocked, like he didn't fucking punt a 3-year-old, like, on issue 3. Anyway, but the big sort of reveal for this book, and probably what has been on my mind the most, is the reveal of Absolute Harley Quinn, who runs a gang called the Red Hoods. She is not monstrous, and so a lot of people took issue with that, with how much a lot of the Absolute Batman villains are more mutated. I do think it's a little bit weird out of, like, the 2 female villains that we have seen, Catwoman and Harley Quinn. Neither of them are allowed to be monstrous. Like, I don't like that disparity between the women of this book and the men of this book. However, I feel like that's just because of what Harley and Catwoman are as characters. However, if we get to fucking Poison Ivy, and she's not, like, a massive, like, body horror plant monster, what are we fucking doing here? I feel like the Poison Ivy book by Jewel Wilson has made such strides in letting Ivy kind of delve into that, like, body horror aspect, that to not do it in other books is a worrying sign. Go read Poison Ivy by G. Willow Wilson. But yeah, Absolute Batman. Still not currently reading it. I just get the backlog of the important stuff that's happening so I can keep up with the rest of the Absolute Universe. Mostly because it feels like the only books in the Absolute Universe that are really mattering are Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, and Absolute Martian Manhunter, simply because it is our first look at Darkseid, but, like, not much else. I only pay attention to the important shit. Okay, so Green Lantern Corps number 9 released. If you don't remember, just real quick catch up, which you can also just catch up by watching Last Week in Comics. They fucking killed off Jon Stewart in Green Lantern, and then immediately brought him back in Green Lantern Corps. So, like, Green Lantern Corps. So, like, what the fuck was the point of that? I don't know. I feel like, personally, I'm just waiting for Jeremy Adams to be off of this fucking book. I'm tired of his conservative, Charlie Kirk loving ass. Okay? That's all I have to say about Green Lantern Corps. I'm glad that he's leaving soon. But, like, Jesus Christ, could it come any faster? Oh yeah, Superman the Kryptonite Special Issue 3. Let's actually talk about a book I really am enjoying. So, this issue is is focused on, like, Superboy and kind of Clerk-like, kind of, like, working out his trauma in his younger body. Like, him and Billy are, like, kind of connecting with the fact that they are both essentially orphans. Well, they are both orphans. They're both part of the foster care system. It's really nice, and I especially like how this issue kind of flips back and forth. So you have, like, the normal art style, and then when it's trying to tell the backstory of both Kal-El and Billy Batson, it switches to, like, a young teenager's, like, drawings of these events. And I think that's a really interesting way of playing it all. I also fucking hate Lex in this universe. I can't say that word. Can I? No, I cannot. But making a comment about Lois, and I did not care for it, but he is a villain, so I'm okay with it. The Kryptonite Spectrum has been a really good mini, and I really want this creative team that's behind it, same one who did Ice Cream Man, was it the Milkman? I think they also did that one too. But I really hope that they get more work at DC, especially because of a couple of the announcements that we're going to talk about later, of, like, kind of Vertigo being back and them kind of expanding more with creative love projects. I'm going to explain it later. Don't worry. There's one other Batman book I want to talk about, which is Batman Gotham by Gaslight: A League for Justice issue 4. It had a scene in it where, like, so Talia is in the book. I do kind of really like her design, but I'm not 100% on it. I don't know how to properly express my feelings. But, so she's there, Batman's no longer breathing, and his fiance, who is apparently Huntress of this universe, is there, and, they're both like, oh shit, he's not breathing, let's go help him. And so his his fiance kisses him to, like, breathe life back into him. And then the first words out of his mouth were Talia. I only support the good Batman ships. Bruce and Talia. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of list off the other releases this week, mostly because I don't read most of them. But, so we have Action Comics 1091. I do believe that this is still Mark Waid's Superboy Adventures when, Superman was a boy, which I think is fun. I might go back and read it all once it's getting collected, because I feel like because this is going to be, like, the definitive Superboy story, definitive Superboy, when Superman was a boy story. I feel like they are just gonna kind of, like, take it and put it into its own trade, which I probably will try and catch up with it then. But quite honestly, with how a lot of the other Mark Waid books are going, it does feel like he's kind of stretching himself thin right now. And I kind of wish he would stop that, actually, and just focus on making good books. Needless to say, Batman and Robin Year One has been really good. So he is making some good stuff, but just not a lot. Okay, and then Aquaman issue 10. Oh, God. Fucking Jeremy Adams hates people of color, and that should just be, like, a known fact about him. They're just leaving off Jackson Hyde off of things, which means I care about it even less than I already was starting to care about it, because the only Aquaman character I actually really like is Jackson. He's the only one worth reading. Next up, Batman and Robin issue 26 also came out. I don't think I've officially dropped this book yet off of my pull list. I am kind of leaning towards it. I do think, like, the creative team is kind of losing steam, and, like, I feel like just more of a shakeup is needed. Like, I know, like, usually when we get to these big events, I feel like mostly the main titles are on there, but, like, I feel like having a little event, because Damien's in both of the books, could be interesting, but I do have a question. How the fuck did that child make it to the first round, but Jaime didn't? Jaime, who has, like, a full suit of armor, versus, like, this shithead little 15-year-old. Okay, next up on my list, Court Children of the Round Table issue 2. That is Tom Taylor's original, like, King Arthur story. Again, it's mostly geared towards children. I unfortunately have had to take the stance that being weird on Twitter isn't a fireable offense, and I've been hearing decently good things about this book, which is... I don't think Tom Taylor's, like, the worst writer of all time. I think he got a little weirdly defensive and a little racist against Starfire in the past, but, like, also, a lot of you guys are weird back, but still you don't give him nearly as much hate as any woman who's writing for DC, so, I don't know. I've heard good things about it. Personally, just not a book for me, you know? Batman Dark Patterns issue 11 just came out. I do believe that this series is ending at 12, so if you are thinking about jumping on, wait like 2 months for the trade. Yeah, and then another Batman book that I don't read because I don't like Batman. Batman The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween. I hope that if they're calling something The Last Halloween, it doesn't end up like Final Crisis and we get like fucking 50 of them. Now we are moving on to the indies. We're actually going to start with Dynamite this week. So Dynamite just released a Harley Quinn and Elvira book, which I think is a really great opportunity to collaborate with these indie studios, especially one that DC has been missing personally. And B, Daystar's fucking wet dream. However, this book has driven a lot of controversy from people who don't fucking read comics, and they are yet again attacking another female writer? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're attacking another female writer under the guise of that they're doing fetish content, and I'm like, have you ever read a fucking Elvira book? Have you fucking seen Elvira? I'm going to go find the picture of her with the, like, fake glasses and mustache thing, where she also puts it on her tits. Bisexual women can be silly and sexy at the same time, and it's not fetish content. I feel like a lot of you guys are so sexless that you don't know what real fetish content looks like. And that's not to say that, like, yeah, a lot of the Elvira, Red Sonja, you know, those type of comics, they do have a lot of more gratuitously sexual, like, variant covers. But again, those are variant covers. The books are very, you know, very into their fantasy aspects in the case of Witchblade and Red Sonja. And in the case of Elvira, it's very silly, because that's who she is as a person. Like, I don't fucking get it with you guys anymore. I feel like everything in the comic book community would just be fixed if more people had fucking sex. Because again, this Harley Quinn and Elvira book is not targeted towards, like, I would say, like, the oldest it could be targeted towards is teenagers, but, like, it's not one of those comics where, like, all ages could possibly read it. And if you think any book with Harley Quinn in it is that, if you think a book with Harley Quinn, the adult version, and not like this, you know, DC Superhero Girls version, if you think that is a book that you should be able to give your kids, then what the fuck have you been reading for the past, like, 30 years now? I kind of feel old about that fact, but also, Because, like, I remember when, like, Mad Love was being put into trade, and then, like, Suicide Squad, like, I'm probably not as old as the people who remember a pre-Harley Quinn world, but... So yeah, go fucking check out Harley Quinn XL Elvira. I know I just bought it. I have not read it yet because I got busy again, and I only just recently picked it up from my comic book store. Anyway, last, but certainly not least, my favorite indie studio, IDW. So, the 3 books I want to shout out are Godzilla, Here There Be Aliens issue 5, and Godzilla issue 3. If you are not currently reading Godzilla comics, you are fucking missing out. Especially if you like specifically, like, -1, but, like, staying in that sort of more dark and gritty aspect of Godzilla kind of makes you depressed. Go check out the Godzilla books. It has a lot of the same sort of, well, in the main Godzilla series, it has a lot of the same worries about, normal Godzilla stuff, but also you get books like Here There Be Aliens and, like, the City series that they did recently, where it's a lot of just having fun with Godzilla. And then, of course, I have recently been on, like, a Star Trek binge. We wrote, like, over, like, 100 pages now. It's way over 100 pages of Star Trek AU fanfiction, so I would be remiss to not mention Star Trek Lower Decks issue 12 coming out. I loved Lower Decks. I'm rewatching Lower Decks again. The comics capture a lot of that same feeling, especially the first half, which was done by my best friend Ryan North. They have since switched writers, but it's still equally as good past then. So please, go check out Lower Decks. Go check out Lower Decks, the animated series, and the comic. The comic's just a continuation of it. And also go check out, go watch TOS. If you have never seen TOS, go fucking watch TOS, but don't watch the fucking Cage. I fucking hate the Cage. There's another episode down the line called The
Menagerie.
Which is, it's just the Cage again. They just stretched the Cage over 2 episodes, and I don't really get it, and you should cut me off here, Stack. Now on to the announcements, specifically a lot of the ones I've been coming out of New York City Comic Con. So the big one I really do want to talk about is this new initiative that DC just announced called DC Next Level. It seems to be kind of in the same vein as their Black Label and Vertigo series, where they are essentially giving a lot of writers their own opportunity to just kind of play around with these characters without really having much editorial oversight. They described it as a creator-led project, which given the lineup, I'm not sure how true that is. So for the first set, we have Batwoman, Deathstroke, Termination, Firestorm, which is very welcome, Batman, Shadow of the Bat, which I do believe is a title that's more connected to Cassandra Cain than it is Batman. So I know that people are like, oh god, another fucking Batman book, a part of this thing too. Batman always gets fucking books, but I do feel like this one at least has the opportunity to not be about him. Another Zatanna series, or another Zatanna mini, a Lobo book, a Demon Etrigan book, and what is only described as Barbara Gordon Breakout. Not Batgirl, not Oracle, Barbara Gordon. So I'm really hoping, because we also got a list of the first handful of people who are going to be working on these books. So we have Greg Rucka, who is on Batwoman. Scotty Young, I believe, is doing, Scotty Young is doing Lobo. A lot of the other writers who have been announced for it, like Denz Camp, Jamal Campbell, which I believe Jamal Campbell is probably going to get the Zatanna series again. He did a fantastic job with the last one. Joshua Williamson, who I believe is doing Shadows of the Bat, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But one of my favorite writers of all time, Mariko Tamaki, is also listed under here. She also got a new Black Label series I will talk about in a second, but Mariko Tamaki's on this list, and given how Batwoman is Greg Rucka and Zatanna is Jamal Campbell, I believe that means we're getting a Mariko Tamaki Barbara Gordon book. And if I trust in anyone to bring back the fucking wheelchair, it's Mariko Tamaki. And I know, like, a lot of people have, like, very wrong opinions on her because the only book that they have read from her is her children's book. I am not Starfire, but I highly recommend you read Mariko Tamaki's Detective Comics run. It's a shocker that she has not been given the main Batman title. So you have that. Personally for me, I love her She-Hulk run. I'm a huge She-Hulk fan, if you couldn't tell by the Wyatt Wingfoot obsession, although it's a different story. If you couldn't tell by the She-Hulks behind me. And Mariko Tamaki has also written the Supergirl annual that happened a year or two ago. I love Mariko Tamaki. I'm so glad that she's getting more work, and you fucking idiots didn't chase her out of the comics industry. Oh, also, so I'm going to talk about a lot of the Black Label releases, because I do feel like they kind of fall under, especially when DC starts announcing new main series titles. So we have a couple new ones from, the big new sort of thing from Black Label is that they're actually releasing, issues 88 through 91 of, Swamp Thing, 89, which is essentially a series about how Swamp Thing is Jesus now, I guess. But it's really interesting how they're kind of allowing, like, these books that were pulled from shelves to be released under the Black Label. And I think that they should do more of that, actually. I think that's a fun idea. Like, maybe if you have an older artist or writer who is still currently with your company, who maybe had a pitch, thrown out because, or, a pitch put away because it was too dark and serious for the time being, letting them republish it through the Black Label sounds very interesting. And then also, I do want to talk about some of the Vertigo announcements. So, I want to talk about specifically the two I'm very excited about. We have Fanatic by Grace Ellis and Hannah Templar. And I don't know what it is about this cover. To me, it's giving Jennifer's Body's vibes. And I love Jennifer's Body because I'm gay. I know that might not be what it is, but I am excited always when female creatives get books. This is under DC's Vertigo line. I don't know if I mentioned that directly. But also from Mariko Tamaki again, from Mariko Tamaki and Rosemary Valero O'Connell, we are getting The Crying Doll, which is from what I could gather from the description, it seems to be a book that's very heavily about the AIDS crisis in the 90s. And oh my god, Mariko Tamaki has done it again. I am going to be reading this book every single fucking week. I fucking love Mariko Tamaki. Those are the only two I really wanted to mention. I love Vertigo. I love that they're kind of letting Vertigo be its own separate thing and kind of like able to kind of not really necessarily be forced to play around in the DC universe, but able to, but not so seriously. And then also I forgot to mention another book by the Black Label, which then a couple people were falsely claiming that this is why Birds of Prey was canceled. We are unfortunately getting a Sirens book by Teenie Howard and Babs Tarr. I say unfortunately because I do feel like specifically the art style of Babs Tarr kind of gives me very misogynistic vibes, and it might just be because like the first book she worked on for DC was Batgirl of Burnside. So giving me an entire like 4-issue miniseries all about the marriage of Oliver Queen and Dinah Lance, it's not helping my perception of you. It really isn't. If it does come out that this is why fucking Birds of Prey got canceled, I'm going to lose my mind. Another big announcement is that Swamp Thing is actually doing a crossover with Something is Killing the Children, which, crazy. Joshua Williamson is actually getting a Legion of Superheroes book, which makes sense. Joshua Williamson is still like the Superman guy, so okay, that's fun. I guess like the other like kind of announcement that they made was a new special for DCKO called The Kids Are All Fight. It's by Jeremy Adams. Fucking hell! I was really excited for this announcement when I saw it because okay, so you have Leanne Harper, Cassandra Cain's Batgirl, Terrific Boy? No! Oh my god. Quiz Boy. I forget what Mr. Terrific's like little sidekick's called for the fucking life of me. Fucking Judy Garrick and John Kent. And I feel like that's a lot of fucking like children's characters who have been either left in the dust in the case of Cassandra and Leanne, or just not given enough material to begin with in the case of Kid Terrific and Judy Garrick. So I was really excited for this. And then I saw Jeremy Adams is fucking on it, and Jesus Christ, can we stop hiring him? He's not good at writing. I don't understand what's wrong with DC. Oh, I forgot to talk about AEW X DC. So for those of you, I have been doing a lot of wrestling shit lately. But more importantly, so they had a DC X AEW crossover, and like not much new was announced there. Just kind of doing a nice thing for to help promote the collaboration. But more importantly, Darby Allin fucking jumped Jon Moxley. So the panel was Tony Khan, Orange Cassidy, Jon Moxley, Willow Nightingale, and Swerve Strickland, who's currently on medical leave, which makes sense why he would be there. Willow's there because they pre-taped Collision. You know, everything about it made sense. Okay, and then so during that panel with Tony Khan in it, Darby Allin came in through the fucking crowd, jumped on Jon Moxley and pushed him behind the fucking like little New York Comic Con banner, and it was fucking crazy. I'm so excited for Wrestle Dream. I can't wait to see someone die. And also another funny bit from that is there was a couple angles which you can go look up. Stack, I'm not going to make you put them in here, but there was a couple angles where you could see Orange Cassidy try and like kind of push Tony Khan behind him before Tony Khan steps out and pushes Orange Cassidy behind him, and it's like, what are you guys doing? I love Tony Khan because he's like very dorky about wrestling. Like, he clearly cares about the sport. Anyway, I'm done talking now. That's it. Go watch AEW. Actually, AEW, hit me up. I would love to do a cross promotion with the whole DC thing. I love you guys so much. I love Willow. I also keep on tweeting out my gear ideas for Jet Speed and Willow. Just constantly. I'm sorry about that, Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, if you're watching this somehow. And also a little bit Willow by Tiger in them and less. Okay, we're done. Up here should be another, your next recommended video is an episode of Ash and Their Fantastic Friends, my live show I do every Saturday, 9 p.m. EST, where we mostly talk about wrestling. Is it another episode of Last Week in Comics? Is it a video I should have filmed while I was here and then didn't? I don't know. Down here is... I'm sorry, Jaime. Down here is the rest of the playlist for Last Week in Comics. I've been doing this since November 2024. At the beginning, I mentioned that if you want to hear my direct opinions of another book that I reviewed earlier, you can go down there. You can go down there right now. And then over here is the subscribe button. I am doing the Wyatt Wingfoot video essay. I need to just get confirmation of something before I start, or before I do it officially. But it is coming. And also more other stuff, so please subscribe. I want to hit 1,000 followers by when I post the Wyatt Wingfoot essay in February, so please. And